Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migration to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to our channel and turn on the little bell on the side, so once we have all the news and updates, you'll be the first one getting all the insights. Now, this video I would like to discuss whether or not, a choice between studying IT or engineering. I've been commonly asked, and some people do have a confusion in regards to engineering and IT, because some IT profession of software engineer is not actually an engineer as in what the university categorized an engineer is. Although you're engineering a software, but it's not actually categorized as what the professional engineer it should be. So there people are confused. You can be engineering software in their database, their network, all regards to software, and that's all IT. But the actual engineer, as what we call engineer, they should be more of hardware stuff, so physically stuff that you can see in our common world. Okay, so a lot of parents or students, when they graduate from high school or about to graduate from high school, they might have confusions there and they wanted to know more about it. But nowadays, obviously, a lot of people have been touching and experience about softwares. Obviously, if you have a mobile phone, every day you're touching apps and things like that. That's all the softwares, and the typical engineer should be in regards to the design, civil engineer, designing of the infrastructure and things like that, transportation engineer. So we'll take you into the actual detail of what these occupations are categorized and what sort of skill assessing authority they belongs to, and some samples of universities of their courses. So I hope that end of this video you have more understanding and your preferences of which one or should be your preferred study courses or perhaps your future career. Okay, so first of all, let's jump into from a visa and immigration profession point of view. Let's go into the Home Affairs page where we actually see the skill occupation list, which you can see right here. Engineer, as I have to type it in, there are a lot of different engineers. There are aeronautical, agricultural, so that's all about agricultural stuff, and that's also in engineer. Aircraft, now we're not jumping off aircraft, but biomedical, okay, building engineering, chemical engineer, civil. We talked about civil. They are now computer network. That's not within the actual typical engineering, but we'll talk about that later. Electrical and electronics. So they, as you can see, they are all in what we call MLTSSL. So that's a long name is medium long term skill setting list. So if they're in MLTSSL, basically after a graduation and obtain this occupation, you are able to access to all type of skill migration pathways. So that include 189, 190, 491, what else? 407, 485. All of them, that's all in there. So so that's what people ask for, popular courses in regards to a potential pathway to obtain further visa to actually maintain in Australia for work and things like that. So that's engineer. Now let's go into the other one, is the IT. So I've typed in here software, so you can see software application programmers and software engineers. So that's all within. So you can see the differences here is when you checked here. Now they are also in MLTSSL, but the only thing that different is at the very last column where the assessing authority. Now if we go back to engineer, it's Engineers Australia. And the other one with the IT will be ACS, stands for Australian Computer Society. So that's the differences between them. Now, talking about the course duration, now there's a big differences here. Now, if we jump into just flick to any of the universities. This is University of Queensland. So I've just quickly go into the engineering, architecture, and information technology page. I'm not going to go through detail of subjects or whatever you're going to study, but the major differences between the courses of engineer, the structure-wise, engineers and IT is that IT generally is 3-year courses. It's a standard, but engineer under the international accord, which including Sydney, Washington, and Dublin Accords, the standard engineer required to have a duration of course of 4 years. So if you choose to study engineer, you're looking forward to at least get 4 years of study in order to actually obtain the standards as required under the whole world internationally, and that obviously will get into the registration if you want to work as electrical, mechanical, electronic, whatever engineer that you wanted to, and that is the requirement in order to get registration and also internationally recognized. Okay, now IT is different because IT it's a software wise, so we also see that UNSW, any university does offer information technology courses here. But let's talk about IT. IT will be only 3 years of study. Now, although it's shorter, but it does, because nowadays technology has become more and more complicated and more and more complex. So IT now dissected into a lot of different other majors, for example, cybersecurity, AI, robotic, software engineering, networking, information system management, information management. There's so many different ones, and also now they're jumping into more into visual design, web applications, and that's all bundled all together under the umbrella of information technology. Now, again, the general courses will be about 3 years, so 1 year less. Now, the only differences is when we head into the actual skill migration part. Now, study-wise, IT wins because you only need to study 3 years. But if you're going to skill assessment, now if you're looking into Engineer Australia, now I'm not going to go into every single page. You can actually Google this, but I'm showing you how the web page looks like. But I'm going to go through it verbally here with the video explanation. So, as long as you graduated from engineer course that goes for 4 years, generally every single universities in Australia does offer those 4-year courses for your engineer degree. As long as you graduated, you will deem to have a full skill assessment. Okay, straight away you get all that, and if you apply for registration for whatever the state that you're in or whatever the major of the engineer, you get that registration straight away. So although you spend 4 years, but you get that full skill assessment straight away because Australian standard is recognized internationally. Now, if we go to IT, okay, jump into IT, ACS. Now, you can go through migration skill assessment here. They will give you, as long once you, upon the graduation, completion of courses of 3 years, they will give you what they call provisional skill assessments. So that means it's not fully. So after that, you might only choose to enroll into one of the what they call professional year, one more year of study with internships. So then you will be, after completion of that professional year, you will get full skill assessment. So again, if you compare the two together, you'll be the same. You still do 4 years, but there's options. For IT, you may choose not to go through professional year, but you can find an employer and work under your specific skills or occupation. For example, if you're a software engineer, you gotta do whatever the software engineer should be doing. You cannot do networking, okay? And they gotta do 1 year. After 1 year of work experiences, then you can come back to ACS, say, look, I've got 1 year of work experiences. Then I'll be able to. Then they will be able to issue you full skill assessment. So again, if you compare, if courses wise, you're only interested about studies, IT is 3 years, engineer is 4 years. But if you're looking long term for skill assessing a potential skill migration point of view, either of them is the same. You spend up to 4 years. Now, coming back to this final topic here is in regards to which one is better for migration point of view. Now, it's actually very hard to say because right after COVID, a lot of things changed. For example, the government of Australia announced a newly prior PMSOL, which is the list of list of occupation. I think there's only 18 or 19 of them. Most of them are registered nurses and medical professions. Now they do include some, only a few. I think software engineer is one of it in that list, and also some engineer in there as well. So which one is better? I mean, for a nation of Australia as it's continuing to develop, all type of occupation is required. But I do find this, there are more people picking IT as a courses than people picking engineer for their career and courses. So what I'm trying to say is, if you pick IT, there are more competitions there because you have more people studying that, and you need to compete. If you know EOI system, the skill select system, the higher the point that you get, the easier, the quicker that you get invited. So if you pick engineer, obviously there's less people, less competitions. Would it be easier? Don't know, because this profession, you don't require that many people out there anyway. So I think picking which one is better, I think 50-50. I mean, in some part maybe 55-45, but I think they are the same. So I come back to this, whichever interests you most, I think you should pick the one that you interest most, because that's the one with your interest you will be able to develop better in that into your career. Anyhow, which one do you think? Maybe you can comment right down below. And should you have more questions, more than welcome to leave question to me, and we will help you to address your query. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.